I mean, that's one of the best things about joining a company like this is that the collaboration, and you get to come here and it's almost like a therapy session because you get to have discussions with doctors that are having the same problems, but are also having the same successes and, or maybe more successes, and you get to pick their brain. How's this working? So it's really cool to, because we don't get that. You're stuck in your office. Even with my partner, a lot of times I don't even see him for weeks at a time. And it's like you feel like you're alone a lot of times. So what's nice is coming here and doing something like this and be able to collaborate. So it's a lot of fun. Most excited to see. I was pretty excited to see Matt Doherty. I'm a huge basketball fan, played basketball growing up, and so I thought that was pretty cool. It's always good to hear a coach. It gets you fired up, brings back some memories and all that good stuff. And so his lecture was really well done and well spoken, and got us fired up. So that was something cool that we haven't had at the summit before. The one thing I always take away is that I made the right decision. So that's a big thing. It's doing something like this. Nobody ever takes it lightly. It's a big jump to join a company like this, to join Almost 360 and collaborate with them. So everybody has sometimes buyer's remorse or seller's remorse or all that stuff, and it's just nice when you do this. It kind of reaffirms that you made a right choice and things are going the right way. And as bad as some days can get, like in the office or with patients, it's nice to have this once a year to kind of get you back on track and be like, yeah, this was the right thing. This is why I did this. I will say, I mean, I'm a big component of the all-on-4 and doing the total digital arches. So for me, every year I do a Smiles for Christmas, and still being allowed to do that pro bono case and changing someone's life. It's not only rewarding for them and their family, but it is very rewarding for us and my staff. I think everybody gets a lot out of that when you can do something like that. And so those are things that I maybe not necessarily would have been able to do without OMS 360, the full digital arches. They brought that to my practice. And so without them, I don't know if I would be doing that. If, Tammy's her name, the one we did the pro bono case for, and I've known her for a while. And it's like, if it wasn't for OMS 360 and bringing the 3D printer and the digital arches to to our office, would I have even done that for her, And so that's pretty cool that you're able to change somebody's life and do that. I mean, I bet a bunch of people have said this, but Josh Everett's. So just going to be able to shadow him and learn from him, and like anybody that knows Josh and you see his numbers and see what he's done, you're like, how the heck are you doing this? And it's just cool to go see it and see how he's put these processes in place. His scheduling template would be the biggest thing I've stole from him or learned from him, I guess. And so to implement that in my office has been huge for our growth and production, and just being able to see patients efficiently and get people in a timely manner and help people in a timely manner. It's been really big for our practice. The hardest thing is probably some of the control when it comes to hiring people and staff issues. And that's a big thing. I remember Bob Clark, when I was looking to join, him telling me that, there's no perfect practice, and you had problems when you're in private practice. It's not going to be perfect here either. You have to accept that and look at the bigger picture. And so that's been big for me. But like not being able to, like, if I needed a staff, like, I'm going to hire you today, there's processes now and there's a few hoops to jump through and things like that. So that's been a big thing. And so, I mean, that's probably the biggest thing for me that I had to let go. I go back to the all-on-4s. Again, before I joined OMS 360, I was maybe doing one of these a year, where now we're doing multiple ones a month. It just wouldn't be possible without the full digital process and photogrammetry and intraoral scanners and the 3D printer that has all been implemented, via OMS 360. I joke as being an athlete and a surgeon, I was always the first one in the gym, the first one in the hospital, the last one to leave. And now, and even when I was in private practice, it was kind of that way because you had so much other stuff to do. Now, if you ask my office manager, I'm the last one to the office and the first one to leave. So I don't even know how to lock the doors at one of our offices. Like I was actually staying late because I was going to meet my wife for dinner, and they had to like give me a key and the code to the security system because I didn't know how to lock the door. So that's kind of cool now. I'm getting to spend more time with my family and letting go of some of the roles that were kind of taking up more time than they should have, and allowing me to be a surgeon and not like an office manager. Just family, being able to travel a little more. I'm an empty nester, two daughters in college, so being able to still visit them and see them, take off when I need to, allowing more free time and still being productive. I probably take more vacation now than I did before, because my production's so much better and my collections are so much better. So my numbers are better. So now I'm not worried about like if I take a week off vacation, oh my God, I just missed out on all this money, where like it's easier to recoup that or to produce that or collect it now the way we're more efficient. And so it does allow me to have a lot more free time with family and friends. I think lead by example. So for me, my biggest thing is things happen. Unfortunately, sometimes bad things happen in the office, and just being able to stay calm. And because if the doctor freaks out and panics, the staff's going to panic, and then that's bad for everybody. Then you get bad outcomes. And so just being able to stay calm in stressful situations, being able to handle things, trust your training and your education, and just lead by example. And I think that goes a long way. The staff sees that, they trust you. It brings trust with the staff, and they feel that you know what you're doing, and so that makes them feel more comfortable. I would say Barake is pretty impressive. So I mean, I the analytics, the numbers. I mean, it just being able to see that monthly and see where you're at compared to everybody else, it just brings out the competitive fire in you too. You're like, well, I need to. Why is this guy ahead of me? Like, I needed to do this to get better. I need to get my implant numbers up. It's just kind of cool. So until Brake came on, we weren't really doing those KPIs as much, and then he's really brought that those analysis and just being able to actually break it down logically, where before you were just kind of flying by wind and be like, well, maybe this will work, we'll see, we'll just throw money at it and see if it works, and if it doesn't, oh well. And now we have like it's research and data driven, and so it makes more sense, so you can make better decisions, and it ends up better for everybody. I would say for me, this is just for me personally, is I wanted to move back to Louisville. And so once my girls graduated high school, my goal was always to get to Louisville. And by joining OMS 360 and us having a partner in Louisville, it allowed me to leave the Clarksville office and get to Louisville like within months, which traditionally, if I wanted to leave my practice and go somewhere else, I mean, that's like getting divorced. I mean, to break up with your partner and the lawyers and the money you have to have and all that would have taken forever. This was just like, hey, I want to go to Louisville. Dr. Schulten needs a partner. Okay. So it was pretty easy, and I really honestly didn't expect it to be that easy and that fast. I mean, I really didn't even have a professional network so my best friend growing up with, he's an oral surgeon in Bowling Green. Other than him, I really just didn't talk to, I mean, even people from residency, we didn't even really speak unless sometimes at Amos, where now it's like on a daily, weekly basis. We're talking to other doctors from other practices, picking each other's brains, which is incredible, to find the best practices and all that, where before I had no, community of surgeons to rely on. So I would say clinically, nothing changes. So I think that was my biggest worry joining is, are they going to tell me what to do and how to do surgery? And I can say that honestly, that has not changed. So clinically, I'm able to do what I've always done, and then even more. Like again, I'm doing so many arches all on fours, immediate implants now. It allowed me to access like more partners like Nobel and their innovation and their technology, Sprint Ray, like getting into the technology that I never would have done, on my own. And so opening a lot of doors has been, one of the biggest things that has, improvements or reasons that like joining one of these companies, that you couldn't open otherwise. I mean, maybe, but it would have been extremely difficult. And they just made it so easy. People think that you're going to lose all control, that it's going to be corporate, you're going to be Aspen Dental, they're going to tell you what to do at all times, and that's just not true. Like I said, clinically, I do everything I've always done, if not more. I had opened more doors, and I think people were worried about that. I think I did, I've touched on that there are some things you lose a little bit of control over, but some of that stuff you want to lose, like you don't want to deal with it. And so I think that for a lot of people, there's that fear that you're going to lose 100% control, and that's just not true. Like you still can practice every day how you want to do it, and you have access to so much more things, and to increase your production, to increase your practice, to serve your patients better, which is always what's number one. Is you want the patient to have the greatest experience and the patient to be number one, and you're able to do that better than I would have if I stayed in private practice by myself. The biggest issue we've had since I've joined is the accounts payable. So I think from a business standpoint, we want things like the CTS team wants things standardized. But accounts payable is different because we all have different vendors. We have different like power companies, internet companies, all that. And so that was a challenge. And I believe that the biggest thing is the CTS team was understaffed in that area. And I think as a lot of the doctors were having the same issue, we came together and addressed this, and OMS 360 then said, you are 100% right. We're going to fix it. And they hired a whole new staff for it. I mean, they just totally revamped it. But it is a process that things can't be fixed overnight. And so I think that's the big thing is I've learned to have a little patience, and like you got to have some trust. And that's built along the way through the whole process of joining a company like this, is that you have to have some level of trust that things will get fixed, and a little bit of patience, because it's not going to be fixed overnight. So I think that they addressed the problem, they took care of it, they hired people that are very effective, and they're tackling it head on. One thing that nobody told me would be it is in the negotiation phase before you join, um, is we all had lawyers, and we all got lawyers involved, but being able to just talk directly to the OMS 360 team if you have a problem or something, instead of letting the lawyers and us all paying lawyers a ton of money to argue for no reason when we could have just went straight to the team. And so we wasted, well, us and Almost 360 wasted money on lawyers when we just went and had dinner one night and hashed it out and fixed it. And they went to their lawyers and said yes on this, and we said okay, and we sat there and argued for months, and the only people getting paid were lawyers. So I would tell people, if you get to a point in the negotiation phase where you're at a standstill, don't hesitate to just tell your lawyers to put the pen down and stop billing you, and hash it out with OMS 360, negotiate that directly with them. It just makes for a better relationship too, because that did cause a little bit of animosity during the negotiation phase. And it wasn't really anybody's fault. It's just, we didn't know any better. It's the first time we've ever done anything like this. And didn't have anybody to really talk to about it. So I would recommend that like, if you get to stall phase, just tell the lawyers to quit billing you, and talk to Trevor and the team head on. I mean, the trajectory is looking great. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into it, like on the recaps and, the stock and everything like that, that are out of all of our control. So, the economy plays a role, the market plays a role, the interest rates play a role. And so what I like about Shore and OMS 360 is that we're not just rushing things, that we're being very strategic, and we're just going to pick our spot, where there might be other companies that I have friends that have joined that they just rushed to market and they got a horrible deal, and they didn't get what they could have if they would have just been a little more patient or had the education to read the market appropriately. Where I think Shore has that track record and of us, really being methodical and smart about it, and not giving something away, just to get a recap event. So. Before OMS 360, I was pretty stressed on a daily basis, and for multiple factors. And now after OMS 360, I am still a little stressed, but I feel more comfortable about my future. So the stress is a little different. Like with Partner with Them, I feel like I've already gotten to where I need to take care of my family and provide for my family. And I'm already set up, because I did partner with them. I now don't have to wait till I'm 65 or 70, to retire. It's going to allow me to retire earlier. So that stress that I had beforehand of like the future, the unknown, like I feel better about that already right off the bat. So it's a different type of stress. It's just the normal going to, working on patients and practice stress. But I don't have that stress of like my family, taking care of my family, retiring, something bad happening to me, or, that all is kind of taken care of now. And so I can sleep better at night knowing that. With joining the Louisville office, our plan is to build out Louisville, and I'm really excited about growing the practice, adding doctors, adding locations, and making us one of the premier oral surgery offices in Louisville, and just really growing on that. I'm excited about kind of being a leader in OMS 360 and being able to help new practices that join, like improve things, where being one of the first practices to join, you kind of have to go through all the hiccups and all the growing pains. Well, we've already worked out a ton of the kinks, and it's nice to be able to like tell these other practices, like, we've already figured this out. So you joining us, we can lead you and we can like make your practice so much better. And so that's pretty exciting to be at that point, because when you first start, it's kind of scary and you're kind of like, oh man, we're learning as we go. And now it's like, we have this thing figured out and we can just keep going like this, keep growing and growing and growing.